what do the side reins do? What's the purpose?
Well, the reason that I sometimes use them is more to teach the rider what the feel of the horse being on the bit is like. Because it's such a hard bridge to gap for riders when they're first learning how to put their horses on the bit. And what the side reins do is they get the horse into that more, that rounder positioning, and then the rider is able to feel what that feels like, and then they know a little better what their objective is.
So it's training the rider more than the horse.
Yeah, I mean, you use side reins to train the horse when you're lunging them. It's a great tool for young horses learning. Like, I would certainly have a horse in side reins before I ever put a rider on it. Personally, not everyone does it that way, but what it teaches the horse is that contact is not a bad thing, and that it's also not going away. Because some horses, like a young horse, you put them in side reins, you start out with the side reins fairly long, but when they first feel that pull, you know, horse's first reaction is to pull against a pull, or to feel a bit claustrophobic and want to back up, right? Back away from the pressure. And then what they learn is that when they pull, if they just relax their neck and let their head go down, then the pull goes away. So it's really good for teaching horses to go forward and to accept contact. Because we don't want to teach riders to put the horse's head down by thinking about get their head down and using the reins and all of this, but there's so much timing that goes into it when you're learning that it's a really hard thing to explain. So I've had some luck with it, and for the horse, it just puts that little bit of contact and a little bit of pressure on them that an experienced rider will know how to do. Let's just bring her in, Leo. I'll see, and I'm not sure if these are gonna be long enough, but we can try. Oh yeah, those will work. Okay, so let's get you out of away from the jump so that when I do the map, she's got some room. So I'm always really careful with putting side reins on a horse with a rider on its back, that we don't want her to be panicky about it. So Leo, I'll have you to put your feet back in the stirrups. And then just know that if she does feel stressed about them, what she'll want to do is go backwards or threaten to rear. And what you would need to do then is to make her go sideways and forward. Okay? So if she's feeling the contact and she's going like, like this, you need to put your leg on, open one rein, and tell her that she's got somewhere to go. Because what happens with the horses is that they feel like they're trapped, and then a horse that feels like they're trapped is gonna try to back away, and if they feel like, oh God, it's following me, I still can't get away, then the next step is they rear, which of course is not what we want. Now she's already been in side reins before with Emma, so I know a little bit what to expect. Okay, so I'm just gonna have you walk her forward, and as you walk forward, I'm gonna clip these up. And again, this is part of safety, that your horse is much better to, keep going, much better to accept contact going forward. So whereas if she's standing still and I clip her up, you put your leg on, she lifts her head, she feels the pressure of the side reins, and then she goes, oh my God, those weren't there a second ago. Okay, so what I want you to do is actually to ride with your reins just a little bit longer than you normally would. Make sure there's no twists in your reins. Good. So these are basically like training wheels, okay? What they're doing is they're doing a little bit of your job for you, a little bit of the rider's job for you, so that you can focus on the process that is going to create the right kind of shape in her body. So do you understand the shape that we're after from her? Yeah, like the thing that the riders think most of the time is like the arched neck, the head down. I'm just trying to find here, this is the best way for me to explain it. Okay. So when we talk about a horse being on the bit, we don't, sorry darling, we just opened it for some oxygen. Huh? Sorry, I just opened that for some oxygen, but we're good now. It was just so stuffy in here. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'll show the camera too, but so if this is her body normally, what we want her body to do is this. Okay, so her head, this will be her head here. So her head's gonna go down, her back's gonna come up, and her butt's gonna go down. So what this means is that instead of her cruising along like this, which doesn't, of course the horse's engine is in the back end, so here we're pushing her along like this. Now when we take that energy and we put it in a smaller package, we've actually, just like when you pull back on your bowstring, right? What are you doing? You're creating energy that you can release, right? So when you take your horse's flat body and you pull back on the bowstring and create energy this way, then what you can do is release it forward. So if you think about a dressage horse, okay, we're collected, we're cantering, or trotting, let's say, okay, collected trot, da, 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 and then the rider can go release, and that horse will be able to take their short body and stretch it way out. Okay, so that's where you get more, you maximize the horse's energetic potential because you've got more energy to work with. What we don't want is the horse's body like this with their head down, right? And this is a hard thing for this horse because she's built like this, right? I say sometimes when she jumps, it's like she jumps, her back feels like you're sitting in a hole because she's really, really good with her front legs, but she doesn't do this and lift her back over the jump, okay? So what we're trying to train in her is that she actually will lift her belly up, her back up. Can you feel that at all? A little bit. If you're ever sitting on a horse eating grass, you're gonna feel that back that comes up, right? And that's what it is. It's when the head is here, they have to tighten their abs and lift their back, right? So she tends to want to trot and canter with her head up, her back flat, and her legs do all the work, which is also not great for her soundness long term, right? If we start to get her whole body doing the work, then hopefully she stays sounder longer. And I'll show you this another time, but you can actually tickle her tummy and lift her back up when you're brushing her and things like that, and it's a good stretch for her, and it helps to build those muscles, but it's more of a stretch, right? So you stretch her, and then when we're working her, we're trying to get her in that shape, and then through the movement, she's gonna be strengthening the muscles in the right way. Right now, she's got a lot of muscle that she shouldn't. See this? So this is like the under neck muscle. What we would want is that muscle should be here. That bulge of muscle should be in the middle. And what you'll see is when she, I know, okay. So when she brings her head into a little bit of frame like this, see how that muscle gets rounder, and from where you are, you can see that her neck looks wider than it did a second ago, right? So when her head's up, this part of the neck here looks pretty flat, right? When her head comes down, you're gonna see those muscles widen, okay? So that's something when you do check in with her visually that you'll be able to tell the difference looking at her neck. Okay, so let's get started. Now you probably might need this. Have you ridden with a dressage stick before?
I have.
Okay, so the great thing with the dressage stick is that you can tap her without affecting your contact very much at all, right? So you're just gonna use your wrist, and it's just a quick little flick, and you wanna make sure that when you use it, you're using it back here on her belly, We don't want to use the whip up on her hip, and we don't want to use it down right behind your leg. You want to just create a little bit of spark sort of under the saddle pad. Okay, so we're going to go working trot. You're going to ride with your reins just a little longer than you normally do, and the reason we're doing that is so that you don't, so that you're not stronger than the side rein. For right now, we want the side rein to do some of the work for you. And once we get her going, I might shorten them up a little bit because they may not be totally effective at that length, but we want to make sure, first of all, that she's not worried about them. Okay, Leo. So go ahead, working trot. Shane, on my Facebook today, I put a picture, I shared a picture of a dressage horse, and they show the rider's body, and they show that energy loop of what we just talked about, of the horse's body coming like this, but it also talks about the rider. I didn't think it was the best description, but it's a really good picture. So if you can get the boys on your Facebook there and just look at that picture from today, it's just an illustration. It's a good visual of what we're talking about. Okay, so little tap here. We need her to be in a working trot. Bigger trot. So she scooted forward. She went right back to her regular trot. That's it. Good. So Leo, what we want to do is, in order, we talked about the shape, the body that we want, but in order to create that shape, we need to first of all have some pushing power. Okay, so the key word for that is impulsion. You need to have some impulsion, some propelling, some energetic pushing that is going to create that ability for her to start to come into frame. Again, we don't want her body flat and her head tucked in. That's really opposite to what we're after. If her body is flat and we tuck her head in, it's kind of just like kinking a hose, right? It's going to take away good energy. We want to create good energy and then keep it and contain it so we can use it when we need to, like when you're going into your combination or when you're lengthening in your jump off. Good. Okay, so she's starting to relax a little bit into frame here. Good. Make sure your reins aren't too tight, right? We want to give her a little bit of freedom, and then at the same time you're keeping just a light contact through the reins. Let's put her on a circle. So the circle or the serpentine, anything involving a curve, is helpful to get the right kind of shape if you keep your good impulsion. And as soon as she went on that circle, her trot just got cut in half. So that's not going to help you out. Impulsion. And can you feel there how much you're wanting to steer with your reins? So we want to really make sure that she's getting pressed through from the leg. Okay, good. And walk a second. I'm just going to shorten the side reins a little bit. Okay, so forward again. Invite her forward and ask for the trot. Good with your hands. Okay, that's a good position there to start your... I know you've already warmed up outside, right? But we're kind of starting a little bit in the warm-up mode here as you get used to this. Good, let's make your circle a little bigger so you go behind the two skinny jumps. Bigger working trot. Yes, good, Leo. So to finish my thought about the circle, what the circle does is it allows the rider to put bending aids on. The bend, by its nature, creates yield in the horse's body, right? You're asking her to give her ribs and to curve her body around the shape of the circle. So if you can yield her this way, it's easier to yield her this way. So it's something where if you're struggling, tap, 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 hard, spank, spank. Those were like the tiniest little butterfly taps I've ever seen in my life. Okay, you gotta practice with this whip. Whap. Thank you. Good, now it would have been much better if you had done it when she was pooping and slowing down. Okay, this is how I get distracted off my little speech I'm making. There, good there, good there. Awesome. So yes, once we get her going forward and in a yielding frame of mind, she will start to come from the forward pushing motor into the gently keeping reins, and she'll start to become that shorter, rounder package that we talked about. Yeah. Good. So another way of thinking about this is think about a half-used tube of toothpaste or a partly used tube of toothpaste, okay? So what you want to be doing with her is keeping the cap on that tube of toothpaste and squeezing all the toothpaste up to the top. Yeah, okay? So your legs are doing the job of squeezing the toothpaste forward, and your hands are just staying there keeping the cap on, right? They don't really need to do much, but if you squeeze with your legs and you take the cap off, it's all gonna squirt out the front, right? And you'll hear riders and trainers say that sometimes, oh, my horse was running out the front door, right? They were running away, and that's when the caps come off and all that energy that you've created has just gone whoop right out the front. We want energy to be created and contained. Good, Leo. Good, now just to mix it up, make a circle a little bit different size. Good, now I want you to be aware of keeping contact. Even though I don't want you using your hands to steer, I also don't want to see a big loop in your reins. There's good outside rein. Because once we take those side reins off, if your reins are loose and floppy or here again, not there again, then she's gonna just find lots of ways not to be going pushed up to the cap. Does that make sense? Okay, this is really good. So when she brings her head up, what I want you to do is coordinate a squeeze of leg and a squeeze of rein. So what you're doing is her head's come up, you're gonna send a little more energy forward and remind her that she needs to keep it all in a package. Good, good. Now try not to drop your hand too low. If your reins are feeling too long, like you've got to bring them back to your body, then just shorten them up another inch. So when you hear me clucking, that's because you're losing something good in your trot, right? The impulsion is fading away. And I want you, the reason I cluck instead of saying more leg or put your leg on is just because it's a little bit quicker. For me to cluck once, you as the rider need to know, oh, yeah, I've got to put a little more fuel to the engine. Right? Because when you're up there and you're riding, the corrections need to be very quick. Right? If she has 4 or 5 steps getting slower or slower, that's 4 too many. Right? We want to be feeling it before it becomes a problem so that you can make a small adjustment early and keep your good quality. Good. Whip on your leg, Leo. Yeah, push. Close your leg, close your hand. When she comes up, you're squeezing the toothpaste forward and just pressing the cap on tightly. Good. Now use your bend there as well. If she gets stiff, just remind her, oh, let's just gently look to the inside. Here's my leg. Give me your ribs. Push through, right? And when she's arguing, a lot can be solved by going forward. That's right. Because what that does is it gives her somewhere to put that energy. Rather than the energy going up and sideways, we're saying, hey, Just go forward. That's right, and that's why it's so important that we don't make going on the bit about your hands too much. Because if we make it about the hands, the horses get shorter and lose energy. Now this is beautiful. That's right. Okay, let's find a spot to change direction, and this is her hard side, right? We started on the hard side. That's great. Good. So think about your new inside leg, asking for the ribs. Now, what happened to your outside rein there? Just walk a sec. Okay, so this is important we talk about this. So when you went to change direction, right in this moment where she changed direction, your outside rein did this, okay? So you need to be pushing her ribs out and keeping a connection here. Okay, so let's try that again, starting on the right. So think about overdoing pushing her ribs out. Think about it almost like a leg yield. And just make sure that as you're pushing her out, you're keeping a feel in your outside hand. So create enough trot. Good. Yeah, exactly. It's not that you need more speed, you need more push. Now sideways off the inside leg, way better through your outside rein. Push the ribs out, out, and next time she comes nicely soft, I want you to stroke her neck, like there, stroke her neck. Good, good. Now Leo, I want you to get in the habit of stroking her neck with the inside rein. It's almost always a better plan to stroke with the inside rein. That way you're doing it evenly both directions. And also the inside rein is more of our flexible rein, right? If the inside leg is doing its job, you should be able to keep bend with your leg and stroke her with the inside rein, inside hand. This is really good. Make sure you're keeping the forward push though. Okay, so she's being good, but she looks a little bored. So I want you to go ahead, shorten your reins 1 inch, and canter on the circle. Same principle. Keeping a light contact, keeping both legs, sending her forward into the bridle. Yes, good for you. Good for you. Awesome job. I like how you're feeling and following her mouth. Good, not too low with your hands. And just turn your thumbs upright a little bit. That's right. So think of it from the elbow you're following to her mouth. Yeah, good. I like that you were quick to correct that. Good. Now circle small where you can. Look for it. That's right. I should be able to tell from where you're looking exactly where your circle's going to go. Good. Forward to trot. Doesn't she look beautiful like that, Shane? Awesome. Now just use a little bit of your bend there when she gets a little inconsistent, right? Just say, hey, hey, come here. Just give me the left side. That's right. Now stroke her with your left hand, inside hand. Good, good. And walk, Leo. I'm going to show you a little trick with the padding too, and you'll see this with, you watch good dressage riders, they're so quick with this, and it's perfect. Is just, all you need to do is just, you keep your rein, so you're just holding your reins like normal. You're just going to stroke or pat, and then keep your contact, so that it's just one moment, and you're right back in your contact, right? And it's just that little thank you to your horse. So you've got your reins, good girl, and you've got your reins again, okay? Okay, just keep her walking. I know it's muggy in here, so she's awfully sweaty. So I think she's accepting the side reins well. We can keep them on when she's walking, but you do need to keep her moving, okay? I don't want her to get stuck and start to feel backed off by the side reins. So just like any good walk break, just keep it a working walk break where you're still, you can use the whole ring, you can do some changes of direction. It's a break, but it's a working break, if that makes sense. So if we just sat in the middle right now, she'd just be hot and sweaty and miserable, and then we'd go back to work and she'd be mad, right? If you just keep her a little interested during your walk break, she's not going to be resentful when we go back to work.
Walk break 2 minutes and you're going to start.
Sure, yeah. So actually, Leo, as well, or no, maybe we'll do this. I'll take the side reins off in a second. We'll just do a little more canter to the right. Once the side reins are off, we're gonna jump the splatter boxes today, and she's been a little nervous of those boxes. She hasn't jumped them yet. So once the side reins are off, I'll have you go up and look at those, but I don't want her having an issue with the side reins up there. She's jumped the plank, she's jumped these suns, so I think everything else should be all right. Okay, Leo, so let's just do a little bit of canter right, just same thing down on the circle, and then we'll get to our jump exposure we were just talking about. Looks good, Leo. Make sure she's got enough snap in her step. A little more contact, press through to your reins. So start the contact through the leg, and then you're receiving what you're sending into your hands. It's the feeling like you're picking up a wheelbarrow and driving it forward, okay? That your legs are actually doing the work, but your hands are there just holding what you're pushing. Good, okay, ready to canter here. Good, so we had a little stiff moment there between the trot and the canter. Let's go forward to trot now. Be ready to tap her with your stick if needed because she is pooping. Forward to trot, working trot, that's good. Perfect, little right bend. Ribs out. And went good, and canter in that shape. Yes, much better. Did you feel the moment of resistance was a lot shorter there? Really good. Okay, let's go up into your 2-point and go down the long side. So again here, your legs are sending her forward. Ask for a little bit of bend and a little bit more shape through the end of the ring, pressing her around the right leg. Yes, better there. Better there, good. Back to your circle, and let's stretch up and trot. Oh, we're gonna do that again. Rebalance. Good, let's do one more for good measure. So from the canter to the trot, you're working on keeping that energy contained, organized. Think of shortening her step before you trot. So preparation, yes, good shape, and trot, tighten your abs. There we go. Good, and walk and give her a long rein. Really good, Leo. So eventually, the rider becomes the side reins. And you don't want to see, unless your horse is stretching with their nose absolutely in the dirt, your hands, you just follow that line down. But except for that, when your horse is actually like super low, we would never want your hands as low as these side reins, right? This is just, so the mechanics of it work well for side reins, but with the rider, it's just about the connection of the energy you're creating from the back end through your leg into this, right? This is like the guitar string that you're keeping that little tension through so that every little thing she feels, right? Of course, that takes being a good rider to ride with contact, because when we're beginners, us coaches don't want the kids riding with real contact because they're not balanced enough, right? Their hands are moving when they post, and if the horse was feeling every little thing, it wouldn't be good, right? Because the rider's not ready. But you're certainly ready. You have nice steady hands and a very good balanced seat. So now you can start to work on your skill set of riding into the contact. Okay. Okay, so while now she has the side reins off, I want you to go show her those boxes from both directions at the end of the ring. And then as soon as she's seen those, we're gonna start actually over a plain jump, and then we'll add in the boxes. All right, Leo, we're gonna start on a half circle. So we're staying at this half of the ring, you're coming through the middle, and you're jumping the vertical in canter.
So that half.
So this half, jumping the jump behind you. So be coming through the center here, left lead, and jumping the vertical. Okay? So of course, recipe for the good jump is basically, in a simple way, having a good canter, right? Quality canter means quality jump. Maybe I'll take it. It's pretty long. I'll find you another whip though for when we start jumping those scary boxes. Okay, so just like we talked about in the flat warm-up, you need to make sure you've got impulsion in your canter. And then it's really about riding that good canter on a rhythm that stays the same to your jump. Okay, just walk a sec and I'm gonna get you a stick. Yeah, I would give her the stick there, right? You shouldn't have to work so hard with your leg just to get a working trot. So be quick to just, like you've asked nicely, then you said, you've told her, yes, we must trot. Then your stick would quickly back that up to demand that you get a real trot out of her. Okay, this canter looks good. So plan to go to your jump. Position is good, stick to your beat. Very good, Leo. Now I'd like to see your hands carried just a little bit higher here on your approach. Let's go jump that jump one more time. I thought it was overall really good ride. With your hands carried a little more up and out in front of you, your position will be a little more natural across your jump. Wait. Good, good. Now, which way do you feel she's jumping? Is she shifting left or right? Right. Right, okay, so keep coming. This time you're gonna open your left rein and be a little stronger on the outside leg. Okay, now walk a sec. Now I don't know if this was intentional or not. Did you intentionally go out here?
No, I was trying to go more center.
Okay.
The other ones were a bit more.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, which makes sense, right? If you're shaving off your turn a bit, then it's gonna tend to leave her jumping right. So you had the right idea, it just got a little overdone, right? So when you're back here through your turn, you wanna think about having your chest and her chest facing the tape in the center of this jump so that you're coming straight. Okay, let's do that one more time and then we'll move on to our box.
What does Darlene think about the jump?
I think she's mixed on it.
Yeah, she's conservative.
But she likes our sort of matching pink one over there. Although, which is kind of funny because when she came out, she was like, no more pink. But I think because that one's nice and sort of matching and a little more, not so gaudy, I guess. But it allows us to have a hunter course outside, so it can't all be bad. Good ride, Leo. And then you just need to make sure that when you're asking her to shorten, which was right, that you don't do it roughly with your hand, right? That it's more about just keeping your leg on and waiting with your shoulders and even reins. Okay, it was just a little bit of our in front of the jump here. Okay, but I'm being very picky. It's overall a really good ride. Okay, so now we're gonna go jump our little boxes up here. So on a horse that's a bit nervous, I would tend to trot in on most horses because it gives them a little more time to think about it, rather than them feeling pressurized that they've got to get the job done. I'm just gonna squeeze them together a little bit. Okay, so you're gonna figure eight. So you're gonna trot in one way, straight, 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 get the job done, over your jump, land, hold, back to trot, turn the other way, and just keep coming like that.
In a trot.
In trot. In trot until we know that she's not worried about it, and then we'll canter it. So you need to be very determined with your eyes up. Your leg is going to get stronger and stronger on the way there if she's feeling backed off. Good. Eyes up. Leg. Ah, what a good girl. And she gave you a clean lead change. Now give her a pat. Good girl. We're going to trot it one more time. Make sure you're facing right in the center. What a good girl. This is exactly how she's been at the horse shows, right? We go there, I'm like, oh boy, all this new stuff. Just walk a sec, Leo. And she's just really coped with it all quite well. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same jump in canter, but I want you to do it off the left, turning left, and then off the left again, turning right, and then off the right again, staying right. So basically you're doing a circle over it, then you're changing direction, and then you're circling over it again. Okay? So you're jumping it 3 times in total. Really try to line up with the center of the boxes so that you're jumping the seam of the 2 boxes. Good. Now this time, really try to think about your canter staying the same. Look at it now. Keep rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I liked that better, Leo, and she decided to add the last stride in, okay? You need to be as patient as she was there. Counting. Make sure you're keeping that impulsion in her step. Good, so the canter is good. Now keep it here. Don't let her lengthen. Looking. Wait, perfect. Good. And she's popping out those lead changes nicely. Okay, good. Let's walk and give her a pat. Good girl. If only she would stop pooping. She'd be perfect. I always threaten I'm going to do a high frequency pooping rate for these horses that poop all the time. Right, Blaze? Far too much work for your coach. Okay, good, Leo. You handled the new fence really well, as did she. And then we just, like I was saying, we just want to be careful that when you're coming off the turn, her stride's not getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the jump is really long. Okay, so we're just going to put a couple jumps together to get the feeling of doing a line, and then we can start to do a couple courses. So I want you to start off the right, and you're going to jump this plank jump. Jumping it this way off the short turn, bending your line to the vertical. Now I want you to count your strides in here and tell me how many you've done. And I want to see that you've jumped the center diamond here and that you've jumped over your pink tape there. So you're just trying to find a track that goes middle to middle where you end up straight. So you want to have a little bit of curve so that you end up with your last couple of strides straight facing this jump. Okay, let's do that. Leo, actually, let's just add this jump as well. So I'm going to have you start this one off the left, and then we'll do your bending line. Yeah, so you're starting across the diagonal over the pink one, and then the bending line counting your strides. Are we starting again? So part of what created that long distance the last time was that she wasn't straight. Really think about your outside aids here back through the turn and holding her shoulders square to her jump. Yes. Great job. Now get the bend. Look at your next one. Okay, how many strides? Okay, you're close. Good, just walk and give her a pat. Leo, I'm thrilled with how you rode all three jumps. She was a tiny bit deep there, jumped a little bit awkwardly, like didn't fully push off both hind legs, but you kept your leg on, you landed, and you rode a beautiful track middle to middle, and you jumped over your tape. So I was really happy to see that. She was like this much to the right, but it was still straight and fairly centered. You did 8 strides, and the 8 strides were very even. Okay, so that's another thing as in addition to going middle to middle that I would want to see that your strides are staying appropriate, right? That you're not going fast to slow or slow to fast. Okay, so with the counting, this time we'll have you count out loud, just so that if you're off, out of sync, I'll know where that's happening. That jump cup is terrible. It's always attacking me. Okay, so same determination level here now. It's the same ride needed. It's just going to be an oxer now. Is that? Okay. If I can find the other one. There we go. Okay, Leo, we're gonna add the combination. So after you jump 1, 2, 3, then you're gonna go down the wall to B and roll back and jump the combination. I'll put the second one down. Okay, Leo, so 1 is your pink oxer, 2, 3 is your bending line, counting your strides. Last time you did 8. And then you're going down the wall using the space you have, staying just inside the poles on the ground and rolling back over this jump. So how square you are coming into this combination is going to be really important. You want to be facing, again, your chest and her chest facing the tape straight. And because it's a combination, you have to make sure you've kept energy through the turn so that she can not only jump the first part, but have good energy to jump out over the second part, right? If she chips in, you're gonna need to add leg to get out in one stride. Okay, off you go. Okay, give her a little spank. Be determined here. You're gonna have to ride it harder this time, right? Because she quit there on you. Give her a tap now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. Looking. Best canter. Good, Leo. Nicely done. And she shows her beautiful technique in there as well. Okay, good. So can you identify what happened in the bending line that made her get the rail?
The 8 stride was long, and at the very end, it was at well, it was going to be a 7, but then
Okay, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was going to be 7, and then you're like, no, I better do 8, but the last stride was really short, right? And because she was going from a big canter to a short canter, she had more momentum than she could catch up with, if that makes sense. So she was going, there was some speed behind her, and then you're asking her to shorten, and she didn't rebalance well enough to be able to do that. So then the last stride, she's a little bit close to the rail, and ends up not getting her front legs out of the way in time. So I think you could have done either 7 or 8. Either one would have worked. To do 7, you would have needed to, back here, when you say, oh, I think we're doing 7, then you would need to give your hand a little bit and keep your leg really sending her forward. If you were going to do the 8 the next time, you would just need to be a little more on top of keeping her canter shorter in the middle here. Because what had happened is you had given her a nice forward ride to the oxer. So even though she jumped in pretty quietly there, she had a little bit more adrenaline this time around than the first time. So she landed off the plank and quite quickly built up pace again. Right? So the first time you did a very even 8, that time she landed like she was going to do 8, but she got quicker and quicker in the line. Okay, let's do that again. I'm really happy with how determined you rode into this one stride. Bye, good to see you.
Those are students of yours?
Yeah, a student that's taking a break, so I haven't seen her in a long time. So she's saying she's going to try to get back here for the summer. So she might need a little tap there if you feel her getting sucked back. Nice. Good ride, Leo. Good, now add just a little more oomph here. Good. And I like seeing how hard your legs were working in front of the oxer. Leo, one of my favorite things about your riding, is you have great instincts. Really great instincts, okay? So that I see you recognize where you are. I see you fix yourself when you get into trouble. You've got a good killer instinct, okay? Which bodes really well as a jumper rider, or for any rider. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're the hunter, dressage, anything. You've got to have those killer instincts that get you out of trouble when your horse is worried or backed off or whatever. Okay, so I want you just to do the bending line again, and this time you're going to do 7 because you executed it perfectly in the 8. So now I want to see you do a different ride that's going to give you the good 7 stride, and then we'll just finish through the combination one more time. So instead of waiting here, you're going to just keep marching along so that the 7 comes up nicely. You did a good job of balancing for 8. Now you're going to continue and do 7. Okay, give her a pat. She made a good effort there. So you felt back here the little hesitation, and unfortunately the little hesitation here made a long distance into a really long distance, right? All it takes is that little moment where she sucks back, and all of a sudden, like for example in the 7, she didn't suck back at all, right? She was like boom, 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 every stride going forward. We need her to feel like that here so that she gets herself a little closer to the jump. Okay, let's do the 1 stride one more time. So think about what you can do through the turn to keep her channeled and directed through both legs. Have your legs working harder a little bit earlier. And it's not about chasing her, it's about helping her keep her forward step. 3, 2, 1. Perfect, Leo. Perfect, Leo. Good job. And there you got to an absolutely lovely distance out of a good canter. Okay, big pats for her. Good girly. So she should just do a minute or two of trotting, just slow trot, some change of direction, and then she can cool out and be done. Awesome. I'm very excited to have you back. So hopefully you and I get to go to some horse shows. Is that looking likely?
Sure.
Because that would be pretty cool.
Part of your level 2 training that you're doing, you're looking for some guinea pigs?
Yeah, well yeah, that's right. I need show guinea pigs.